Welcome to the space for transformational leaders to unleash their magic, see better client results, work lighter, and live source. Hi there. Have you ever been told you should do a webinar and you couldn't figure out how the beautiful transformational work you love to do translates to this masculine, sterile, you probably pictured PowerPoint slides strategy that kind of makes you want to cringe? I'm Darla Ledoux. I'm the founder of Sourced and author of Shift the Field. And I want to speak to doing transformational invitations via webinar. It's a little bit different than what you might get if you've ever downloaded a free slide deck. I've actually seen them called pitch deck templates, which is so not feminine, right? And so doesn't feel sourced. And you've tried to fit your work into these beautiful little bullet points and reverse engineering your offer and all of those things. And it just hasn't felt right. Now, here's what I want you to know. I have done traditional webinars. I totally understand them. I may do them again at some point because there's times where it's just really perfect, where maybe the thing that you're offering has a clear, structure or framework. There's a few steps that you're selling that you can actually highlight in the webinar, and then give little snippets, give the what but not the how, and then you offer the how at the end for your program. It's a great use of a webinar. Sometimes you might use the points of your webinar to paint a picture of the problem the client has, and then of course your offer helps to solve it, and that can be really great as well. And when you love transformation and you want to help your client, you want to invite your client into a journey of deep inner work, sometimes it feels like those bullet points just don't quite fit the bill. So let's talk a little bit about this. I worked with a client on this recently where we looked at what is the program she wants to offer. Okay, and you want to get really clear about where you're leading people and why. I do believe that this is really, really important. And in particular, use your magic. If you haven't taken the Sourced Magic quiz, you can find out about that below. Use your magic to tune in to this program or this offer to get a sense of what it is and how it wants to show up. And so a lot of times I'll have my clients tune into the energy of it, or maybe it's going to give you a word or an expression or a theme or something like that about the offer that you're actually making. And you want to ask yourself, how do I help someone in an hour, we'll call it, in a webinar, we'll call it, to become committed to doing the work available in this program? What do they need to know, be aware of, or be present to in order to say yes to the program? So that's the first piece. Then you want to tune in and ask your soul and ask your expertise, right? You are an expert at the work that you do, that you're offering in this program. Ask your expertise, how do I help my client get to the place that they need to be to say yes to the program? And let it be a creative process. I have a past client who used to say, love up your marketing, okay? Give yourself creative space. If you're a sensation magician, maybe you dance and you feel it and it comes through you physically to know what you want them to experience. And then you've got to figure out how to translate that. If you are an expansion magician, maybe you journal and you say, gosh, if there were no limits, what would I want them to know? And if there were no limits to that, how would I want them to know this? And if there were no limits, what would I want them to do, right? And so you're really tuning in and exploring what this is. If you're a recognition and you get a lot of visuals, you might do a visualization to say, show me how to help them become aware of what they need to become aware of to say yes to this program. And this is, of course, only the right aligned people, right? So a lot of times when our clients do this, what comes forward is some kind of experience they want their client to have. We work with a lot of retreat leaders, they love experience, right? So it could be a visualization or an activity or a journal exercise, or sometimes it's actually a physical thing, like doing something with magazines or painting, or like a lot of really creative and experiential work. What happens a lot is someone then gets, okay, I want to have my client paint their problem, let's say, right? Paint their problem and then paint what it would look like if it were solved. I'm just making this up on the fly. So let's say that's the experience that's going to help them discover if they really want to solve this problem, right? How important is it to you to solve this problem? That's what you're having them discover in this quote webinar. So now your webinar does not look like 4 bullet points and a stodgy, slide or whatever. It looks like an experience. So that's really great. Now is the important part. How do you create context for that experience, and how do you debrief that experience? I think I have these backwards. How do you create context for that experience, and how do you debrief that experience if the experience is here in the middle? So the context is you want them really looking in their life. What is going on for real in their life, in their business, in their sex life, in their health? What is really going on now that they want this experience to address? And have them get really real about it, encourage people to share about it, like let it get vulnerable. By the way, even before this, you're creating context of your own experience with this thing, right? So you're getting vulnerable so they can get vulnerable before you even have the experience. If you're not doing this, then the experience is just an exercise that's going to be interesting for them, but it's not going to have impact, okay? On the back end, you want to then debrief the experience. You got to debrief it so that they, one, can get a lot of juice out of what they just experienced, and two, they get to experience that having your eye on what they're experiencing adds value, right? That your coaching, that your support, that your perspective, your magic adds value to what they could have figured out on their own. Otherwise, they're going to go and they're going to think, well, oh, I can paint, and then everything will be better, right? But there's this piece that you're bringing in your container that's so important. It also helps them feel safe in the community, right? Especially if you're offering something that's a group program. So this is just a little bit different. It's a webinar, right? That's not really a webinar. That's designed to help someone get present to the transformation they desire and become aware that they're actually committed to that transformation. You don't have to fit into the 1, 2, 3, 4 box, but you do really need to help the client make a choice, right? You're not here to show off how great your work is and how awesome this experience is and then go yay and leave. You're really here to help them get clear about their commitment to doing the work, and then to get clear about their commitment to doing the work with you. And that is the purpose of this thing that we might call a webinar, right? That doesn't have to have slides, and it doesn't have to have 5 bullet points and an offer in the structured way that's often taught. You do need an offer, right? After the debrief, you do need an offer. You need to spend 10 to 15 minutes on your offer. You need to be really confident and excited and happy about your offer, and that's a whole other video. But I hope this is helpful. I would love to know what you're hearing, what you're discovering, and I want to encourage you to, if you're thinking, okay, that's great, I have something that I want to offer. I do feel drawn to do it live in some kind of class that might be a webinar. And this is really resonating with me. But what is it? What is it, right? This is where you want to get sourced. You want to be able to tune in to your own knowing of who your client is, what it is that they need, what the actual awareness is that they need to have them take the next step. This is all going to come through you and your sourced connection. And that's what we specialize in here at Sourced. If we can support you, please let me know. There's links in the comments. This is Darla Ledoux, and I'll see you soon.